Hello, everybody. We'll get started in just a few minutes. You're here for the Clevu MACH and Commerce Tools Headless Product Discovery Trifecta webinar. Welcome to Bethel, Scott, Steve, Quaid, Ellie, Benjamin. Yeah, lots, big webinar today. It's great to see. If everyone wants to if you feel like you'd like to introduce yourself in the chat, on the bottom of the screen, you can see there's a chat available. There's some fun emojis and stuff that you can use as well that go up on the side of the screen. So you can use those throughout. Okay. 2 minutes past, so we'll get started. Thank you for joining today. Hello to Clevu agency partners. Hello to our tech partners, developers, B2B and B2C retailers, competitors, and friends who might be here today. The turnout here is obviously a testament to the impact that MACH architecture is having on the e-commerce industry. My name is Rachel Tonner. I'm head of marketing at Clevu and the host of our Headless webinar series this quarter. Just in case anybody's not familiar with Clevu, I'm sure you will be by the end of this webinar, but Clevu is an AI search and discovery platform that leverages AI, natural language processing, and user behavior analytics to elevate the search experience and automatically re-merchandise category listing pages and product recommendations. Today, we will be talking about a founder's story. So Chris Hawley of commercetools will interview 3 of the members of Clevu's C-suite and go into detail about how the graft and vision of these people is redefining product discovery in MACH e-commerce architectures. That'll be about 20 minutes. After that, we'll have a Q&A for the panel. And after that, our CTO will go into the new commercetools connector, the architecture of that. And then following that, our lead headless engineer, Yuha, who's here also today, will talk about our Headless SDK for about 10 minutes, and then we'll have an ending Q&A. So as we go through the presentation, please do interact with us in the chat. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Timothy, Benjamin. Thanks so much for being here. Hey, Joanne. You can ask questions in the chat as we go along. You can also ask questions in the questions tab. Those questions are private and anonymous, so feel free to put your questions in there if you don't want to ask them publicly. Now for some short intros of who we have on the call today, so the audience knows who you are and puts a face to the name. So I'm going to start with Nilay.
Hi, this is Nilay, and very nice to be here. And thanks, Chris, and also Rachel and all other participants here. We are very excited to be part of the MACH and looking forward to bring, whatever we have been doing and whatever we can do better to the community. And we need your help as well as a community. Clevu has been built only by a community. I'm one of the co-founders of Clevu, and I'm not going to go in too much detail, but 1 or 2 things that I have learned over the last years is that Clevu has been purely built upon the values that we cherish and that we share with our ecosystem. So I just want to say thank you to the community, which actually made Clevu what it is today. And we only see positive future ahead. And yeah, and fantastic team, with me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nilay. Over to you, Niraj.
Thank you, Rachel. Yeah, hello, everyone. I'm also one of the co-founders at Clevu and CTO. I have my background in the field of AI with specialty in semantic search. Earlier in my career, working as a researcher at the University of Sheffield, I had this opportunity to work on many natural language processing applications, dealing in many different domains. And that's what we wanted to utilize when we started Clevu. So for the last many years since we have started Clevu, I have been mainly focusing on the e-commerce search. And with the help of our team, mainly looking into how to enhance our catalogs, how to understand the intent of the consumers, and that's what I do at Clevu. Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Yeah.
Thank you, Niraj. Elena.
Hi, everyone. Awesome to be here. I'm Elena. I'm a COO at Clevu, not one of the co-founders. I've joined the company around 3 years back. My background original was in finance and strategic consulting, used to advise world's largest financial institutions, and was just bored to death. So switched to technology, loved it. Work was probably around 100 different tech brands, advising them on their growth journeys, fundraising, go-to-market strategies. Loved doing what I did, but then I met these two guys, fell in love with the team, joined Clevu, and been there since. And very excited to be part of this webinar today. Thank you.
Thanks, Elena. And over to you, Juha.
Yes, hello. Thanks, Rachel. Like you introduced me, I'm a lead headless engineer here at the Clevu. I'm a quite new guy. I started in the start of the year. I'm a developer and entrepreneur for 20 years of experience from the web and the things. I have also university experience. I have done the speech user interfaces at the university, researching these things, the Siri before it came mainstream. I have developed a mobile applications, a really big one in here in Finland, the national news. And to the e-commerce, I have my experience I got from a e-commerce marketplace that I was a CTO and I built called Ivalo. Thank you.
Amazing. And Chris.
Hi, Chris Hawley. I'm the Global Director of ISV Partnerships for commercetools. We are the inventor of composable commerce and one of the founders of MACH. So we're thrilled to have Clevu as part of our ecosystem. And I'm looking at the attendee list and I see a bunch of friends from this role and a few others. I've been in tech about 30 years. Thanks for the emojis. I appreciate that. More tech companies than I care to admit to, but really love the commerce space and I'm thrilled to be part of today's presentation. Thanks, Rachel.
Amazing. And yeah, Chris is going to be interviewing our panel today. So I'm going to pass over to you, Chris, to start the interview.
All right, so perfect, thank you. So I'm going to start with an interesting, but maybe not so simple question. Nilay, in 10 words or less, tell me, what is Clevu?
Hey, thanks, Chris. I'd say it's a composable microservice for on-site search, merchandising, recs, and personalization.
Very good. That was 8 or 9 words. Outstanding. So how did the three of you meet each other?
Me and Niraj, we go long back, about 20 years back in the time as friends. And like Olena said, we have been in touch with Olena for over 3 years now. Olena was the one who actually created the value creation plan for Clevu and ended up executing and making sure that it happens. So that was great. With Niraj, we are friends. We actually started first before Clevu. When we were in school, actually in college, we started a small company on the computer-based training systems. And I'll just give you a very brief anecdote on that, and that will tell you, how we know each other. So we were actually taking a train. We come from very humble background, and we were taking a train that was 40-hour train to meet there was a state minister who had actually invited a young entrepreneur to a state software technology parks to visit there. We took a train, about 38 degrees temperature, no air condition, because my father really wanted me to, start on my own, whatever I do. So everything was very humble, as you can imagine. And it was so hot, and we took a big jug of cold water with us that would stay cold for 12 hours. And as the train passed for first 45 minutes, the jug actually was leaking. And at that time, we looked at each other and we said, we have an opportunity now to drink the highest amount of water ever in our life today. And I think I have never drunk more water than in that incident. That we may not get the water next. We may not be able to buy water next for next 40 hours. So let's drink as much as we can, because otherwise we're going to throw all of these anyway. So, and we actually drank a lot of water out of fun. And that still we remember that incident. So that's how we that's how far we get along. And I think for any company, the partnership is very important. And I think, like I said, values. So not only between me and Niraj, but I think overall in Clevu, if there's one thing that is very hard to build, in my view, is this respect and that culture that we have. It's an unwritten culture, but the one that we have been able to build of having mutual respect for each other and really understanding each other's perspective and really, doing our best to help each other. So this is how, that we have known each other. If I hope this would make sense.
Makes a lot of sense. And Elena joined as a early stage consultant, you mentioned?
Yeah, she joined as so we were supposed to hire a big four to do the sort of the value creation plan as part of our $12 million fundraising exercise earlier. And I said, no. We're going to have someone who can actually we need a plan that we can actually deliver. And then we found Elena through one of our investors. And she actually came to Helsinki for 2 days workshop with me and the team. We actually built the VCP. She didn't know until then that we would then, somehow convince her that now here's the VCP that you built. It's your job to actually make it happen. So that's how we actually met Elena.
As I like to say, let's make sure it runs on the cloud and not just on PowerPoint, right? All right, so it's great how you all met. You can sense the vibe here on that. So when did you decide to start Clevu and why? What was missing in the marketplace? What was that trigger?
So, the brain behind Clevu is Niraj. I know I'm a ward boy who can bring the idea to a commercial innovation and bring that journey. That's sort of my work. But the real brain kind of work came from Niraj and his experience in semantic and search and AI. So we were actually serving 4 clients in 4 countries together with Niraj, only 2 of us, and trying to help them with humongous amount of data and to make sense out of that data. That was our job. And whatever we were doing there, we were then investing that into R&D and research. And we were trying to find out that how do we solve this at scale? And there we came up with search within what? Search in genetics, search in forensics, search in retail. What do we do? And we all know Amazon, and we thought that then we actually had an opportunity to really understand the market very early on, that there's a huge innovation gap from the enterprise retailers and the Amazon. It's like the gap that is impossible to fill in without having a very truly modern thinking and the tools and the technologies around. So then we closed all the doors, we closed all our projects, and we then decided to just focus on one. In all honesty, we thought this is just for a couple of years. We're going to focus on search for retail, and then we move to something else, search for something else. 7 years forward, and we are still, we find still a lot of new things to work on. So the main reason for us to start was to kind of give kind of a platform for online enterprise retailers to give them a true sort of, true chance actually to stay relevant in this new modern age of retail. I think that's
right,
how.
So as you're pulling the why and when, what were some of the couple of key challenges you faced, and how did you handle them?
Of course, a lot of challenges, and we still face every day. And we have a mantra in Clevu: make new mistakes, don't repeat the same mistakes. So we make a lot of new mistakes, and we are very proud of that. The first challenge, though, to answer your question, we had at Clevu when we started back in 2013-14 in Helsinki, was to get the catalog data, because e-com, there was this transformation happening, at least in Nordic, kind of towards the towards the web and digital form or digital online retail. But the catalog data, getting the true catalog data was truly a challenge, to be honest. And second was it required a lot of education, that why search is important, why as an e-com manager you should care for search, because that doesn't come under marketing, that doesn't come under directly IT. It comes under this enablement of something, and it was very complicated at that time. And so that education was quite a challenge. And I would like to thank our partner ecosystem once again here, that without them, I don't think we would have been able to pull through at all. And they really helped us. I remember one partner in Sweden who actually literally, we have this really nice club sort of thing in Scandinavia, and they invited us in Sweden. We had a lunch, and they gave us a list of 64 items that they had collected over 4 years. Hey, these are the project. This is what we know to be solved within search. Can you do something about it? And so we had these two main challenges: education and getting the catalog data.
Great. So those are the technical challenges. Elena, you joined, as you said, a little later, came in as their round of funding and kind of with a strategy. But what were some of the challenges you faced on the business or execution side?
So, yeah, thanks. It was an interesting and exciting time, right? So we just raised funding. We had like this 12 million in funding basically secured. We have technology working, customers are happy, like everything is going really great. And you sit there in Helsinki and you have 2 days and you need to define what's going to happen in the next 1,000 days. You're basically like, okay, how do we do that? Like, what do we do about it? And that the key challenge, I think, was how do we retain and grow our competitive advantage? Because we were absolutely aware that we are in an extremely competitive field that has so many awesome companies, and new awesome companies appear every day. There is an incredible amount of talent in those companies. There is also an incredible amount of money in those companies. Like at the time when we were proud of raising 12 million, some of the competitors were already raising hundreds. And it was like, okay, what do we do? Like, do we try to catch up to them? Do we do something entirely different? Like, which way do we head? And that's what 2 days that Neela mentioned was all about in Helsinki. And something interesting, I think, that came out of it that really set the foundation for who Clevu is today. One, I think we realized a massive potential we have was having access to the search data. Having access to this like billion points of search data meant we understood customer intent and shopper intent on the website better than anyone else. And that AI technology that we had literally meant that we knew what the customers are going to be looking for, and we knew how to get it to them. So that, I think, was the first time when we uncovered the potential of what if we use that search data across other touch points on the website? What do we try to optimize more of that experience using that data and elevate the overall journey through the website, elevate results for our customers? So that was probably the foundation for what we now call product discovery. The second one, and related to this, was Clevu has been founded as an API first company. I think that was like Nilay and Neera's vision from the very get-go. They saw the future as headless at the time when probably no one else, or like very few people, truly were talking or planning for headless. There was this enterprise architecture from the start. And again, at that moment, I think we realized that many of the competitors that we have, they're not inherently MACH. And we had this unique opportunity to scale an accessible headless solution. So from there, it was kind of figuring out the key challenge and just making sure that we can execute on that for the next couple of years.
Great. It's funny, that timeline pretty much overlays the commercetools history, as well as a few other developments. So you can see that the intersections of different influences in talent and opportunity, it's really clear. So as you've rolled out the business strategy, Elena, where are your offices? What's the physical presence and maybe your approach on staffing?
I mean, Clevu was global first at the go. I think that's one thing that I really liked at the time when I was joining, I think even at the time when, again, like you can hear it, right? They had 4 customers, and all of these 4 customers had to sit in different places. I think when the team was 10, again, all of those people were in different places. So we have people on the team that speak 15 different languages. We have offices in India, in Australia, US, UK, Finland, Sweden as well. But then ultimately, we really have people working from all over the world, and it has always been the vision to build a truly remote company. And again, we've started talking about it pre-COVID, pre-time when it became kind of a fancy new thing. Like, we want to make sure that we go after the best talent. It doesn't matter where these guys live. It doesn't matter what language they speak, as long as they love technology, as long as they love what Clevu does, and they're on board with the mission. That's everything that matters, and that's the principle that we continue to live by today.
So anyone who talks to me for about 5 seconds quickly realizes I'm not the technology guy, I'm the business guy. So you're the business person in this conversation here. Tell me what makes Clevu unique in kind of just a easily consumable set of business values and ideas.
I wouldn't be able to do it otherwise, which is, I guess, a positive or a negative. I think the interesting bit is, and that what comes also from our customer interviews, and that's what we see, Clevu is the most advanced product discovery technology available in the market today. And the beauty of that technology is even people who are not necessarily technically proficient are able to see that in the results that we deliver. That goes back to the AI that, Miraj and Nilay have built with the help of our awesome team. Like, that AI at the core delivers incredible results because provides semantic query processing, we have product catalog enrichment, we have user behavior analytics that is based on so many different factors. It's shopper searches, product clicks, checkouts, product ranges, sentiment in the reviews, so many different bits and pieces that are there. And what makes us unique, I think that, partially we're just getting started. So the vision was always around AI. The vision was always around how can AI help to really revolutionize that customer journey. We have an in-house AI lab, which is absolutely amazing. It consists of research scientists that continue to experiment within linguistics and machine learning every day. And they have only one goal. Their goal is find new ways to delight shoppers on the website. That's it. Nothing else matters. And they look into image processing, they look into conversational commerce, they look into natural language processing, predictive analytics, everything they can to find the most cutting edge use cases and technology that we can either apply to our existing products or we can use to commercialize and make new ones. And we're looking into how Clevu AI can power other technologies to make that technology even more accessible, regardless of the customer size or where the merchant is located. But I think tech aside, because we'll probably have a lot of people here to speak about tech, our customer approach, it has always been at the very core of our values. We do truly, as the team overall, care about the customer. Every merchant, large and small, needs to have the best product experience, needs to see the value, and we see team being really hands-on on getting them there. You can have Neil and Yurash jumping in to answer support tickets at 3 a.m. Doesn't matter. Getting on the calls to get the customer to see the value, adopt the product. Like, there is never anything that is kind of beneath the team, as long as the merchant is seeing value and the shoppers are finding the products that they want. And this probably boils down to the team. Like, what makes Clevu unique is the team. It's a team of humble individuals that have entrepreneurial spirit, but I think they're just really passionate about what they do, really passionate about delivering the best possible outcomes for the customer and really delighting the shoppers in the process. And that what brings all of those unique points together.
And you just volunteered your founders for 3 a.m. support calls.
Yes.
But it does set the tone. So Nilay, back to you here. There's been this talk here about basic technology, the foundation, the business value, and all that. Talk about your roadmap. Let's say in the next midterm, longer term, where is the product and the technology going?
Yeah, again, thanks to that value creation plan we did in Helsinki for 1,000 days, it's still, we are on it, we are executing that. So we are on a path or mission to actually properly address discovery. And discovery is not just you writing in a search box, is not just discovery. I always say that search is everything you do on a store, and everything you do on a store is actually search. So whether you are clicking on a navigation, you are clicking on a banner, anything you do on an online store is actually search. We started from that box. We started from the little box, and we expanded on that. Our mission is to kind of make this technology accessible for the enterprises to bridge that innovation gap. In next 1 to 2 years, I see that there are 3 areas where we are focusing. One is this, the sort of the MVPs that are coming out of our AI lab, one of them being image processing, for example. And we are sort of, we are seeing some amazing results on how visual commerce can, for example, help discovery. So that's, and it's not just that. There are other areas of discovery touchpoints that our lab is working on, and you will see that in next 1 to 2 years coming out. Experience of the journey itself. So we need to be able to deliver the customer experience, the retailer experience also at scale, right? If you have to serve 10,000 retailers, 50,000 retailers worldwide, how would their experience look like? Can they get the support, at 3 a.m. without me or Neeraj waking up? How do we make sure that it works? I think these are the things that you would see that we will figure it out in kind of make sure it's scalable in 1 to 2 years time frame. And then platforms like, whenever we take a platform, we take it very seriously. So like we didn't just jumped onto commercetools that, yes, let's develop commercetools connector. But when we did, I think we definitely commit to it. We invest into it. It's like the effort coming from multidimensional sort of, angle. And we are then truly committed to the platform, and we truly understand that platform. And you can go back to the history when we started on Magento, BigCommerce, Shopify, all the platforms that we started with. We only start to work with the platform when we are genuinely interested in investing and committing to it as well. So I think you will see us kind of delivering of Clevu via kind of very selective platforms, but do it in a proper way. Longer term, 5 years horizon, I think enabling shoppers, making this discovery as delightful as we go. Finding the shoppers are kind of finding new ways of discovery, so we need to also stay ahead of that and understand that how we help there. And I wouldn't even exclude that at some point we may explore into B2C, directly addressing consumers, and not to just get into B2C, but actually kind of completing the loop and helping our customers to get more business. That would be the objective if we go into that path.
Outstanding. So Neeraj, we haven't forgotten you, besides those 3 a.m. support calls. Tell us your thoughts on what it means to be MACH certified.
It was a very, very nice experience participating in that exercise in the process. But I think when we were starting to build Clevu, we were looking up to AWS, how they are implementing all the services, everything they build that's available as a service in cloud. One can use it, they can combine it, and one can prepare a solution out of it. Following that, Clevu was built with full API coverage and the microservice-based architecture. It simply allows us to be both scalable and flexible, and getting recognized for what we have been building for this many years. It felt really good. When I heard that we were approved, when we were certified, I actually went back to our developers and I congratulated them and thanked them, saying that all that you have been doing has paid off.
That's great. And how do you think MACH architecture will change e-commerce?
Yeah, I think it will allow collaborations at the technology level within industry, and especially for merchants, because we are dealing in the e-commerce industry here. I think for merchants, they will be able to use the best of breed for everything they want to offer on their e-commerce website, and most importantly, at very ease. They wouldn't be spending a lot on changing the systems. They can plug in, plug out things as they want.
We like to call it the last replatforming you'll ever have to do because of that plug in, plug out piece. So I know you're going to show a slide here. So talk about a little bit about the integration with commercetools, your work with us, and then show the more technical folks in the audience here, give them a look at this, please.
Yeah, I'll briefly show the architecture here. I think the very first question that came to us was that why do we go with commercetools here? Commercetools was actually a very popular. It has become very popular platform. We all know that, and especially a validation of that came from our partners. As Nilay said, we have been working very closely with our partners. The validation came from our partners, and not only the new projects that they are working on, they have started building them on commercetools, but also we've seen they are also involved in migrating their existing implementation from existing platforms onto commercetools. So it was a no-brainer for us that we started working on commercetools. How we started implementing this, I'll briefly share my screen here and show. Please let me know when you're able to see my screen.
We can see it now, yes.
Yeah. So when we decided that we wanted to actually implement this, thanks to you, Chris, and to a member of your team, Shia, who actually helped us a lot, making it very easy for us to decide how we wanted to implement the entire connector. There are two ways how it can be done. One is that one can actually use commercetools APIs. They can listen to the subscriptions in AWS, for example, and as and when things are changing in the catalog, they can push those data changes into Clevu environment. But we thought with that process, developers would have to first implement the subscriptions, listen to them, and they will also have to implement the APIs to push data into Clevu. So that's why we discussed this with Shia, and we tried to understand if there was a better way to make it easy for the merchants. So the way we implemented that is here, of course, we are assuming that a merchant would have stored in commercetools, and they may be using technologies such as React, Angular, or other popular JS frameworks to pull the data from commercetools and render it for the shoppers. The idea was that commercetools allows merchants to create a client for specific purpose. So the way we have implemented is that we are requesting merchants that, hey, can you create one client for Clevu that gives us access to the products, the orders, and if there was any other content that they want us to pull from their environment. If once they have created a client, they can share those details with us. And for merchant, that's it. Given those details, we have a connector which is directly communicating with commercetools, and it is pulling this data at regular intervals. The full sync can be configured to happen every hour or every half an hour, but the data sync can also be configured to pull all the changes every 5 minutes or so, which means at most the merchant is waiting for 5 minutes for the changes to reflect on the Clevu's end. We have our SDK, we have our ready-to-use theme as well. So for merchants, they can use our SDK to fetch the search results from Clevu and render it on their store. Yeah, the implementation is very easy, and anybody who wants this, any further help with implementing it, our support is available.
Right, great. Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate the compliments to our tech team. I will relay those to them. Rachel, I'll turn it back over to you.
Awesome. And I'm actually going to turn it directly over to Juha, because that follows on nicely for the SDK. Juha, I'm just a little conscious of time, so kind of 5 minutes, and then we'll go into a full Q&A at the end. Does that work?
Yes, so I'm going to speed it up a little bit. So this part of the presentation is going to be about technology. So I'm introducing you the Klevu Headless frontend Javascript Sdk, a really long title for a tool that's helping you to build custom UIs on top of the Clevu APIs, because there's lots of business logic on our APIs, and it's quite complicated to use when you're just starting to dig into the documentation, starting to read them and starting to use them. And the current web is that it's mostly JavaScript, so we started with JavaScript SDK. And what it is, here we can see different kinds of logos from different frameworks and applications and platforms and places. The idea is that we created this one SDK that works in everywhere where a JavaScript runs. So if we have a static website builders, we have mobile application frameworks, we have platforms, we have different front-end frameworks, it should work in all the places with this one library. So you just install it and start making your own code, and then you're in a happy place. So when you're writing a code, typically in an old-fashioned world, you had to go into the website, read the documentation, read all the parameters, everything, and it was always starting from the digging the API documentation. It's a TypeScript library now, so all the documentation is inside the code. You can see the image here. It's telling you how to use these parameters without even having to leave your editor. And it's quite easy to use. There is quite easy API, and we have lots of examples. We have created examples with React, Vue, Remix, Hydrogen, Shopify Hydrogen. I think next example is coming up. So there's lots of code snippets you can just copy paste and get going really fast. What this SDK really is, it's just a layer between the API and a UI. So taking this MACH alliance thing that we can combine different pieces from different systems, it's just a tool to help you to integrate faster without using the API. And because Clevu is using quite many, the integral part of Clevu is the data that we need in order to improve the search result and the recommendation results. It's important to bring us the correct data. So this library itself, it fetches the data, it handles this analytical data and passes us all the correct information. And then one thing that it handles really well is that in these front-end libraries, the handling the state is usually slightly complicated. So it will give you a tool to manage facets easily without needing you to code these parts. So how do you install it? If you have in a JavaScript environment, you just npm install it, start using it. There's a GitHub page. It's open source. You can go and check the code. And first, you initialize your code. So you give us the URL and an API key. You can get these from our Clevu Merchant Center in a box Clevu.com. You initialize in your index.html wherever, give the variables. And here's the hello world. So it's this simple. Everything is wrapped around this Clevu fetch. Let's see if you can zoom out. Yes, I can see our browser. So everything is wrapped around this Clevu fetch function, where we put any amount of query functions. This is the most simplistic hello world search. So we are providing you a Clevu fetch and a search function that can be put into the Clevu fetch. And this will search all the products in the Clevu API with the hello world and return the results. you can put any amount of queries in the Clevu fetch, so you can get the suggestions based on the search term. You can get the trending products, recommendations, everything in one Clevu fetch. And we have a good list of these query functions. So you can do category merchandising, search CMS pages, search categories, find similar products, all of these things with the one Clevu fetch or multiple Clevu fetches, how you ever want to build. And then we have these modifier functions that simplify the usage of the Clevu API. So we have features like listing filters from the search results. You can type anything to the API and it will return you any kind of facets that are related to this search results, and they're automatically generated by the AI. You can enable personalization just by providing this one personalization function here. So it's really simple and fast. And this is really short version of the presentation. You can go into the YouTube and check it out, the long version, where I show you the code examples and everything. So you get really up to the speed of implementing Clevu into the modern front ends. And I think the community is the developer experience. So it's fully open sourced and all the code is available. So really believe that when people are starting to use it, we will get better feedback and we will make a better library and easier to use library that helps everyone in this community. And yes, once again, the GitHub page and my contact if you have any questions about this. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Juha. So much detail covered in such a short time. I appreciate it. We're going to open the floor up for Q&A now. I know that this webinar was supposed to end at 1:45, so we will run over just a little bit just to answer a couple questions. Is that okay with the panel? Or do you have a call? Okay, so we'll run over a little bit. If anybody needs to jump off, this will be recorded and the recording will be sent to you. So I'm going to dive into some questions now. So we have one about AI lab, actually. So Niraj, can you take that from more of like a technical point of view? I know Elena mentioned it.
So I think as Elena explained, AI lab is at the heart of Clevu. So as I would put it this way, that we as humans, we learn from our surroundings. We observe activities, actions, and implement our own reasoning of dealing with various scenarios. At Clevu, all the time we get these product catalogs. We get lots of patterns, how shoppers are searching, what they are clicking on, what they are buying. We also get requests from merchants that their own requirements. At AI Lab, we do the analysis of all this data, all these inputs, and we build automated solutions to help shoppers find what they are looking for. The goal of the AI team is ultimately to build individual microservices or build this API endpoints for every single thing. For example, recognizing product nouns in search query, given a word and its context, find out what all additional synonyms can be added for the word. Yeah, and so that's what the team looks at as part of the AI lab.
Thank you for that. We have another question. So Elena, specifically for you. So obviously getting more women into C-suite roles is what we want. I know that you're actually nominated for the Women in MACH Award. So what would your advice be able to get more women into C-suite roles in the MACH community?
It's an excellent question. I mean, I think it just do more of the same. The community is everything. I think continue to grow this community. There is so many incredible, again, companies, so much incredible talent that always just supports each other, regardless of the gender, and helps you grow. And I think as long as we continue to invest back and give back to this community, help others learn, grow, and develop amazing customer-centric solutions, we're going to be there. And everything, I think, the key point for whoever wants to get there as a woman to that C-level in MACH is just be really passionate about technology, be passionate more about the end use case for the customer, that maybe even about the business, and the business is going to come. So yeah, community and passion about the product and tech, and those probably would be the answers for me.
Great. Yeah, it's nice working with you, Elena, especially,
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, as a woman in tech. So another question is from Sid. So how does user adoption for Headless look at the moment for Clevu? I know I'll kind of start the answer, Sid, and then I'm going to pass over to you, Juha, with what you've heard from partners. But I know that for us, we've had significant month-on-month growth of using the SDK since it was only launched in June. But before that, I know headless implementations are always different. So I think from our point of view, it's about making sure we have that customer first customer service approach through our partnerships team, through our support. We've been headless from the start. So having that API kind of mentality, API first mentality has definitely helped us with that. Juha, what are you seeing from kind of the partner ecosystem on adoption?
Yeah, the headless is coming really strongly in the ecosystem. One thing I can say from what's the challenge right now is the server-side rendering of the world of headless, which everyone is trying to tackle right now. And yeah, that's something we are also heavily investing and really going forward that direction, because that's the thing that we see in the industry.
Great. Yeah, thanks for that, Juha. Let's see. Nilay, you talked about visual search and discovery. Can you tell us more about your plans there?
Yeah, visual search is it's sort of still at the experimental stage. I think the community or we have to still figure out how to make it really relevant for the shoppers. Our plan is to go beyond, for example, what Google Vision has done for retail. So in the visual, most of the companies that at least what we have seen so far is that, and it's excellent work that has happened already, is about image processing. So you can kind of compare one image with other image. But I don't think that's what shoppers want. I think shoppers want something beyond that. And that's at Clevu, we would like to combine that image processing capabilities with true machine learning and true merchandising capabilities as well, to again bring relevant results back to the consumer. So our plan is not just to find similar image, because that problem can be resolved, but I think it's going beyond that. How do we bring relevant image to the customer? I think that's the area where we are investing more.
Thanks, Nilay. One question for you, Chris, actually, is what are some of the more interesting mock-based implementations you've seen?
Yeah, so a couple. So first of all, these are all publicly referenceable, so I'm not giving away secrets here. But for any of you who are partial to Audi, the Audi e-tron is a really interesting use of headless, because the presentation layer is the dashboard of your car, which is not a traditional mobile device or platform. What we're also seeing is a lot of folks are going to marketplaces. So the idea that I can pick from a world, there are 4 or 5 very competitive, dynamic third-party marketplaces, and then use composable commerce as the engine behind it is kind of a hybrid in the middle. And then we're seeing what I would consider enterprise class traditional implementations replatforming to take the advantage. So if you look at AT&T in the US, use the monolith system, move to composable commerce, a mix of ecosystem products, us as the engine. So you go and you buy your iPhone, it's a typical transactional site. But then you also see AT&T has spun off other businesses who then inherit a composable architecture, and the demands of the spin-off of the cable and the Hollywood businesses is different from a telecom. But it's been that basement, that enabling technology that's pulled forward. So we're seeing a mix of truly innovative, taking the advantage of everything available with AI, the search, the video, the 3D, AR, VR type stuff. Hybrid, which is just really good implementation of, fairly mainstream, but innovative in their own sense. And then re-platform, let's just modernize and be prepared for what the world takes us without losing anything of the horsepower and the gas mileage, if you will, that we had before. So that's what we're seeing. To your earlier question, everyone is looking at composable commerce. The question is, what piece of it? The 100% fully headless isn't necessarily right for every customer. So what's nice about this ecosystem is products like yours plug into anyone's partial implementation. All of these SI partners we have are coming up with industry-based solutions or mid-market solutions that allow folks and kinds to basically adapt and implement the piece of it that they're comfortable with, that meets their budget, their tech sophistication, and all that. So everyone is looking at it. Their implementation is unique for what they need, which is the promise of MACH.
Absolutely. And obviously, we encourage you to try starting your headless journey with Clevu. You can start with product discovery as that first kind of step, and then build everything out, other composable elements out too.
There was a great quote someone said earlier, e-commerce is search. And that resonated with me, and I'm going to steal that, guys. But it's impactful. It really makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, I know we're a bit over time. Thank you to everyone who stayed with us. Thank you for joining us today. Just to let people know who are in kind of the commercetools community, Clevu will be at both of the SI and partner events. The first one is happening in Croatia on the 20th of September. The second one in November in Austin. So we're really excited to be there. Looking forward to seeing you, meeting new people, and even some of our listeners here, I'm sure will be there. Thanks for your questions. I know there were a couple questions we didn't get answered, so we will follow up with you after the event. We have another webinar on the 1st of September where Juha will go into more technical detail about the SDK. So I'm just putting that in the chat now. And so what to do next? So you can actually sign up for a free account with Clevu. If you go to clevu.com and hit free trial, you can sign up for a free account. From there, you can learn how to integrate with any platform. We have our SDK, we have our plugins. We also have an audit. So our customer success team has recently done a census, and we found that product discovery platform can increase revenue per web visit by 37%. So on your app, your website, your Audi, your Tesla, your spaceship, whatever you want, we offer free product discovery audits. So you can apply for one at clevu.com/audit. If it is of your Tesla, though, obviously we'll need access to your Tesla. So thank you to Chris Holly for bringing your insightful questions. Nilay, Niraj, and Elena, thanks for your graft and that brought Clevu to where it is today. Thank you, Juha, for building easy to use and accessible developer experience tools. And we look forward to working with the SIs and merchants attending this webinar and ongoing and upcoming MACH product discovery projects. So we'll say goodbye for now. Thanks, everybody.
And thank you, Rachel. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.